And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from A-Bomb, The Bomb, SpongeBob 64 Man, and Anthony Dahl. If I'm missing anyone, I apologize. Let me know. Who asked the question, who would win in a fight? 11 from Stranger Things versus Pennywise. Now, I did technically do this with the Losers Club, because I did have the Losers Club. Actually, no, that's not true. I believe it was what was that? Was it the Goonies versus the Losers Club, or was it the kids from Stand By Me versus the Losers Club? Either way, that's right. It was the Losers Club versus the Stranger Things kid. And the ultimate problem for those kids were 11. The other kids, frankly, I think they were going to handle the Losers Club as well. This is just due to the fact that the Losers Club, I believe, was comprised of more kids. And I think there was a couple older kids in there too, whereas um, the Stranger Kids cast didn't have that. Except they had their trump card 11, who would completely make mincemeat of the Losers Club. But could she sub in for the Losers Club and take on the destroyer of worlds? I will eat you all. It's like, let him go. No, uh, you'll go, you'll go live happy lives and then return to the weeds. um, I can do a pretty good Pennywise impression. Or I can do Prince Albert. Do you have Prince Albert? I can. Yeah, do. Well, you better let that poor guy out. Not that one. It's also late. I'm trying not to be too loud. But look, again, I've said this before, but Pennywise at this point is a freaking elder. He might as well be on the Mount Rushmore of most used characters in a versus fight I've ever done. I can pretty much recite Pennywise's backstory by heart at this point. Pennywise is a being in the Stephen King universe. He is from the macro. Well, technically it's a she, but we call it a he because it takes the form of a male clown. And I'll use he for the overall terminology. He is a being not from our universe, but from the universe around our universe, the macroverse that exists beyond our universe. Um, in fact, he's actually, I mean, all the Stephen King movies, books are technically tied together, but he is actually more tied to things like the Dark Tower than he actually is to his own story. He's just this supernatural entity in his own story, but in terms of origin, place, all that, he has a closer relation to the Dark Tower lore than he does just what we get in Stephen King. I should say. Um, with that said, he is what is known as a species of creature known as a glimmer. Now, what a glimmer is not 100% confirmed. It's believed that his deadlights might be the true form of Pennywise. However, others say that it might be he still might have a physical form beyond that, like a creature of some kind. I believe it was Eddie who gazed into his deadlights and did see this mass of hair and claws. But this was the closest he could manifest Pennywise. That's because we can't stare into the deadlights as mortals. It'll drive us insane and or kill us. But as a being called the Glimmer, he is extremely powerful. In fact, he's one of the strongest beings in his world, but not the strongest. In fact, he's probably not even the top 3 strongest, but he's very strong. We know for a fact the Crimson King can easily kill it. The Crimson King will make it his bitch. Um, there's also, I think, another being who is basically the equivalent of God, who is stronger than him as well. And he is an equal contemporary to Maturin the Turtle. He's the direct opposite side of the coin. Whereas Maturin is a being of life, a creator of such. Pennywise is a consumer and just devourer of worlds. He's just death and destruction and consumption. Pennywise, though, generally speaking, likes to take the form of Pennywise, the clown. This is because it's just a form he likes. It scares people. Clowns scare people. So it takes this form, and somehow, someway, he ended up in Derry, Maine. I believe it's stated that he's landed on a meteor. And honestly, what you see isn't even really truly him. It's an extension of him. Pennywise is very eldritch in nature, similar to like Cthulhu and the old ones. But that being said, the extension of him that exists in Barry, Maine takes the form of this clown, who has pretty much as many powers as you can think of. He does have a level of reality warping, although it's very minor. It's more that he's casting illusions. He can literally read your mind, pick out your fear, turn into the fear, transform. He has telekinesis. He can phase. He can teleport. and he grows stronger the more you are afraid of him. So being afraid is par for the course of him. He wants you afraid. He wants to eat you while you are afraid, because as he states, it's like salting the meat for him. He'll eat you if you're not afraid. It's just he likes the taste. He likes the taste of meat that's been cured, so to speak, or salted with fear. And he goes after kids because they're easier to scare. Pennywise, though, does have limitations. Against a group of people, he is more susceptible to being beaten because there's strength in numbers. And it's a collective group versus one individual. Overcoming fear, not being as scared of him, will also not be beneficial. We actually see this, believe it or not, in the. I'm stuttering here. I hate that. I normally stutter. I'm just trying to collect my thoughts because I was adjusting myself on the couch here. We see that in the second movie where it's Eddie who gets attacked by Pennywise as the leper, and the leper just kind of attacks him, and all of a sudden he starts fighting back, and Pennywise nopes out of there because Eddie was losing his fear of him, and he was like, "No, I'm not gonna be afraid of you. You don't get to tell me what to do or how to act. I'm controlling the situation." So any individual who can lessen the amount of fear they have of Pennywise and not be afraid of him would have an edge over him, definitely. Last but not least, though, there's also the fact that Pennywise is bound to the rules of the form he takes, meaning he's not really that much strong. I mean, he is physically stronger than, say, an average being of that size, but he's still bound by the rules. He can only move in so much of a way. He can only lift so much. So yeah, he is bound by the rules of the form he takes. Now, before anyone argues about the ritual of Chud, that is within his universe. Let's be clear. It's like, hey, if I threw him against Darkseid, for example, and someone said, "Oh no, he can only be killed by the ritual of Chud," it's like, I'm sorry. No, that's within the context of his world. You throw him out of his world, there are beings in most continuities that would clap his ass in a heartbeat. That could just blink and he's gone. That's not how that. It's just not how that works in verses. People don't seem to get that a lot of time in verses. Like, there's only this. He's only got this weakness. You can't do it. Like, no, yes, I can, because that's not how it applies in other worlds, in other continuities. And plus, he also has been beaten before, even without the ritual of Chud. So, yeah, it doesn't quite work that way. Anywho, 11 is actually, does 11 actually have an actual name? I'm not a Stranger Things fan. I was, not fan, that's not right. Okay, so her real name is Jane Ives, and then legal name was changed to Jane Hopper when she was adopted. Her test name is 11. She was basically born to a mother who was given a lot of psychedelic hallucinogenic drugs while she was, in the womb, and this allegedly helped activate psychokinetic abilities in 11. Now, again, I did not watch Stranger Things, but I do know the general gist of a lot of what was going on. So, that with all that said, she was ultimately a member of. Not a member per se, but was it what would you call it, a member? Let's call it a resident of Hawkins National Laboratory, where they were using her psychic abilities for many different things, including opening portals to the Upside Down. As such, she did not have any real social interaction with anyone, and grew very unstable. Now, as time progressed, she overcame this, and she was able to ultimately, find friends, even a little bit of a romance, and she came into her own with her abilities, which her abilities are quite impressive. She has a number of abilities, all basically psychokinetic abilities. Abilities such as telekinesis, where she's able to literally lift things as large as like vehicles or even large structures. Larger abilities, though, larger things to move do take more effort, but she's trained to mitigate that. Levitation, she can pretty much do a mock version of flying, although she mostly uses it to float. She can bind individuals, just kind of keep ensnared with her mind, and biokinesis, where she can even restart the heart of a person who just recently died, or disintegrate something on a molecular level, or at least disintegrate it in some way, like she did with the Demogorgon. She can also open and manipulate dimensional portals and travel to the Upside Down, or go to her pocket, the void in her mind, which is basically this blank spot where she can just kind of be like, I'm alone here. She has telepathy, capable of walking into others' mind via contact through the void. She's capable of reading minds. Psychometry, or token. She can read information about a person through an object they have. And technopathy, where she can kind of manipulate machines to a certain degree. She also got good survival skills, and she's pretty intelligent, and she's empathic, capable of understanding and bonding with certain individuals. She's stealthy, she's adaptable fighter even without her powers, and she knows Morse code. Now, 11 though does have problems. Using too much of her power will obviously give her a nosebleed. Using a lot of it was putting so much strain on her body, she got put in a temporary coma. It was believed she had suffered a stroke, which severed her ability to properly use her powers, but she later regained that. It was causing giving her bloodshot eyes, bleeding out the ears. It's using her powers on any intensity scale is dangerous, even with more training. And so the question now becomes, who wins in a fight? There should be one other thing I should mention about 11. Her powers get stronger depending on emotions, usually rage, but other emotions depending on how they depending on the situation, like positive reinforcement, affection, all that, caring, she will power her as well. So the question is, who wins in a fight here? Let's again say that Pennywise is going after the Stranger Things cast. And, he corners them. They think maybe he's from the Upside Down, but 11 points out that I don't recall anything like this in the Upside Down. It's like, Upside Down, right side up, doesn't matter. You're all going to be my dinner tonight. Yeah, he kind of transforms a little bit to try to freak him out. However, 11 just puts him up in the air. It's like, no. And just throws him against the wall. Boom. And that's some ability you have there. Now, in the Stephen King world, what she would have is basically The Shining is what she'd have. And Pennywise is now kind of squaring up with her a little bit. It's like, you're not. I won't let you get away. I'm going to feast on all of you. And he just kind of roars at him a little bit, and she just throws him back. And this may be going on back for a while. He'd get back down, she'd throw him back. He'd fall back down, come back at him, she'd throw him back. The question right out of the gate is this. Is Pennywise able to overcome 11? I don't think so. And I say this because we don't see Pennywise, at least in his own stories, come up against anything else supernatural in nature. Magic, telekinesis, supernatural monsters. Never really getting into fights with anyone other than humans. So we don't actually know how to gauge how he responds to other supernatural entities very much. We know he belittled the turtle, but the turtle wasn't really a fighter or anything. It was just his, again, contemporary in a different sense. But there's also the issue of stamina and endurance, and who's outlasting who in this fight. Because the longer this goes on, the more 11's certainly not scared of this son of a bitch, and he can tell that. That weakens him, but she has only got so much stamina. I think she's also aware of this. Like, he just keeps coming back up, and she can sense maybe there's something off with this guy. So she tries to touch his mind, only find madness and just hunger and rage and the 3 glowing deadlights, which luckily aren't the actual deadlights, I think, which is why she's able to maybe bypass the whole staring into them is going to screw her up thing. But she kind of struggles back, like, you, and this now Pennywise isn't having you. You were in my head. That's not somebody. You didn't have to be in my head. And he just transforms, comes at her. She's just suddenly he just now she's got both hands and she's right, and he can touch her mind too, except for the fact that she is telepathic. I don't know if he, see, it's not listed that she has any sort of mental protections at all, and I don't know if she would be able to protect herself from getting, mind read by someone else. But I do think that he can tap into her mind and be like, finally find out what she's afraid of or the stuff she's seen. To say, so that's it. That is her. But unfortunately, she's like, no, I know what you're gonna do. I'm not letting you. You are gonna, and he can read her mind and even see the thought of the Demigorgon's disintegration. He's like, no, no. And he starts to disintegrate, but he's like, no, and he just suddenly opens his maw, and there are the deadlights right in front of her. Now, that's a big point of contention here. What? How does the deadlights affect 11? Because 11 is not a normal person, and having literally dealt with the not the underground, the upside down, Demigorgon, Mind Flayer, Vecna, all that. She has seen some shit that normal humans should not have seen. So she's probably more mentally capable of handling this than a normal person would be. Now, I'm not saying she's 100% immune. Don't get me wrong there. But I think it'd be kind of like a thing where she struggles and is like, like she's starting to kind of like it's leading to like a panic attack is what I think it would be. And she finally no, it's like no, and she finally just has enough and just kind of finally opens up a portal with all of her power, and all of a sudden it throws him into the upside down. He's like, oh, where am I? No, 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 no. And she finally just manages with the rest of her power to close the portal. And so Pennywise is stuck in the upside down. Well, now you might be asking, well, he's not stuck in the upside down. Just a part of him is stuck in the upside down. I was like, well, no, actually, Pennywise would be stuck in the upside down. He wouldn't have a way back, really, because it's just a completely separate dimension, even from the Macroverse. So, because the Macroverse is just existing outside of our universe. That's what macro means. Like, that's what a macrocosm is. Layers and layers in the macro, like all that. But here, if he's not permanently trapped, he's stuck there for a good while. And this gives them time to recover, prepare, whatnot. And so when he shows up again, they're ready, and they go loser club on his ass, plus a psychic 14-year-old. So ultimately, yeah, Pennywise, I think, isn't really well equipped to handle someone like 11. Let me rephrase that. He does have some things under his belt. Like, he's got resilience. He can keep coming indefinitely unless she's going to completely erase his ass. And those deadlights are going to be a problematic even for 11. I don't think it will kill her, but it could very well lure her into a panic attack if she's not careful. And then that would be the perfect one for him to just come and just kill her. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going with 11. Shocking. I think a lot of people kind of had that as their guess. But who do you got? Do you think Pennywise would completely annihilate her, or do you think I'm giving him too much credit and she would just annihilate him? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.